right, welcome everyone to another episode of Sasquatch Watch Radio. Today is Monday, November 11th, 2024, and Veterans Day for a lot of you folks. So we want to welcome all of you to the show. And before we get on with it, we will get our co-host in here, Gary Kendrick. How are you doing, Gary?
Hey, everybody. Happy Veterans Day. And I'd also like to say, for any Marines that are out there in the audience, November the 10th, 1775, happy birthday, brothers.
All right. I understand you had some fun today.
Yeah, we had a real good Veterans Day celebration. We did a Veterans Day shoot with one of the local veterans outfits. I think we had 20-some people there today. Really good turnout. It was a rifle competition, trap competition, and a pistol competition.
Nice.
Of which I won absolutely nothing.
Well,
it was a good time. It was really wonderful. We had a steak dinner. It was good to fellowship with everybody. It was really wonderful.
That's
really
good.
Wonderful.
Good. Good to hear. All right, so without further ado, we're going to get our guest in here tonight. Everybody knows him as DW. Probably know that he's the founder of the MABRC. Wrote the Bigfoot Field Guide. The curator, I guess you'd call it the curator of Squatchopedia, DW Lee. How you doing, DW?
Oh, pretty good. You know, watching all your intros coming into the show, I thought, man, we were all so young, and now we all got gray hair. You know, back in the late 1990s and early 2000s, you, Eric Altman, Sean Forker, Melissa Hovish, Steve Calls, we all started out together, kind of testing the waters, and
Yep.
Man, them old timers, they really laid it into us, and if you didn't let
I tell you.
So
yep. You know, we were all on Bigfoot forums, so we knew each other's handle on there, and
yeah,
you know, and the Yahoo chats, and had all kinds of fun.
So yeah, it just brings back a lot of memories.
It sure does. Of course, a few of us have, put on a few pounds, got some gray hair, But I'm
Why is
working
everybody
on
looking at me when you said that?
Just watch out. Your jokester's not in here tonight, so he hasn't heard that yet. So you just wait. He'll be here, I'm sure. Well, it's good to see you again, DW.
Same here, Billy. It's been quite a while since we've got to chat and everything. So.
Yeah, sure has. So, as you probably already heard, Gary is I call him my researcher. He's the guy that he digs deep and see what he can find and comes up with some good questions. So I let him take the role.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, I remember Pal Talk, Tennessee. Yes, sir. Pal Talk. I forgot all about that. Yep.
Well, I'd like to get started here. Tonight we have D.W. Lee. He's the director and founder of the Mid-America Bigfoot Research Center. He, I guess I want to say hosts the Bigfoot Hoaxers Exposed page, Squatchopedia 2.0 page. He's the author of several how-to Bigfoot books. A U.S. Army Ranger. Hoorah! Happy Veterans Day.
Yeah, you can't tell from the weight I got now, but yeah, I used to be a slim trim fighting machine. So
I understand what you mean. Back when I was about 2 Backstreet Boys lighter, I was a fine young Marine myself. Darren, I'm gonna get started. I know you deal a lot with hoaxes, and as a researcher, we've all been hoaxed. We've all had hoaxes. That's just kind of one of the things that we end up having to deal with. And I'd like to get this one just kind of out of the way and neatly stored up because I know people are going to want to hear about it. But I'd like for you to tell us about Ed Smith and the Daisy in the Box.
Well, that was a event that occurred, and I can't really remember for sure. I think it was 2012, 2013. I actually have put together all the emails and posts and everything related to that and released it as a PDF. People can find it on any of the state Bigfoot groups or even on the BigfootFieldGuide.com website. But he had come onto the scene in about 2009 and kind of started filling things out. And he come up with some really great information. He would say, that him and his original 6 buddies have been doing research for 10 years. And he started sending us documentation. And, it looked pretty good on paper and everything. But then he said he was going to have a summit meeting where they were going to possibly hand out equipment to different groups in Oklahoma. And that kind of fell through when he got into it with Doug Bilby, Bullet Maker. And we was trying to handle it with kids' gloves so he couldn't pull out. We was trying to see just how far he was going to go with it. And then after a few more years, he had gotten to be really good friends with Randy Harrington. And I think, and this is no insult to Randy or anything, I think he was just trying to find the fly to his fly trap. And Randy did buy into quite a bit of it. And after a couple of years, I was so tired of it, I wouldn't even take Ed's phone calls. Then one day just before Christmas 2012, Randy called me and said, "Hey, I'm getting blown up on phone calls here. Ed Smith just posted about Daisy in the box having a body." And it's like, what? Yeah, he posted it on the forum. Didn't even have no idea he was going to do this. So I went over there and looked. And by this time, Robert Lindsay and Bigfoot Evidence, they all had already jumped on it and started spreading it. And there's so many people hitting the website that the server crashed. So I had to take it offline, just trying to get everything figured out. And it just took a life of its own. There was people trying to get interviews with him. And unfortunately, he made me, he brought me into it as, DW will release details. And I'm like, crap, I really don't want to be in this. And Randy, he wanted it to be so true that if anybody spoke the wrong way to Ed, he would actually ban them from the forum. And there's some members that actually were MABRC members that he actually kicked right out of the group. So there was a lot of screaming about that. And we basically told all the MABRC members, look, he pulled out on us in this summit meeting 3 or 4 years ago because somebody rocked the boat. Let's just, be calm about it. Let it get to the point to where he either backs out or he comes through with it. Of course, I caught a lot of crap for saying, we can neither confirm or deny that there is a Bigfoot body because truthfully, we had no clue. And so finally, he come up with this idea that there was going to be a bridging group. And so I got Dr. Meldrum on it, Melissa Hovey, Abe Del Rio, Steve Calls, and Kathy Strain. And I told him, I can't tell you for sure if this is real or not. We won't know for sure until we're actually got a plane ticket in our hands and we're flying to where we're supposed to be going. And when that happened, it put the clock on a countdown on Ed. He either had to produce something or he was going to come up with an excuse. And within 2 days, he come up with the excuse. And so basically I just come out and I said, that's it, no more. is pretty much a hoax. I mean, I couldn't do nothing else. And, you know, that was 2013, January 2013. And there's not been a peep about, you know, a group having a body or capturing a Bigfoot. And even if these people were under NDAs, somebody would have talked by now.
Oh, yeah.
So, you know, but when I put this book together, I released it for free because I wanted everybody to see the screen captures and the timeline. And I'd actually met Ed in Muskogee, Oklahoma, and we actually ate lunch, him, me, and Randy Harrington. So we knew he existed. And, you know, I've been on the phone with him, and even Michael Hall and Steve Coles both had talked to him on the phone. So, you know, he was a real person. But nobody really cared about that. They just come unglued on us because we helped propagate the hoax, which we didn't. We didn't even know he announced about it until like an hour after it was over, you know, already done. So, but
yep, that's like a wildfire. It just,
yeah,
somebody says I got a body, it's like out there.
Yeah, and I had my little web server that I was operating from home. It was set up for, I think, 5,000 connections, and it was registering over 150 to 200,000 connections a minute. Wow. So, you know, people claim, well, you know, you took down the forum on purpose. Well, I didn't have no choice. It couldn't respond to all those requests. So,
yeah.
But yeah, that really, I told myself after that, I'm not going to give anybody a chance to try to hoax again. You know, I will call them out in a heartbeat. And unfortunately, there's been members of the MABRC that I've had to call out on them, you know, that, hey, y'all committed a hoax, you're out of here. And, you know, you got to do what you got to do to try to protect what credibility you get in this community.
Yeah, and I feel for you, DW, because that can happen to any of us.
Yeah.
You know, I spent, you know, and I don't think about it often because when I think about it, it just makes me sick to my stomach. But, you know, I spent a good 4 or 5 years with a guy going to areas out here in Virginia where he was claiming he had activity. And, you know, and in the end, it was me, JC, you know, we were all out with him one night, and he kept claiming he was seeing this eye shine. Now, he didn't expect any of us to walk over there, but I'm sorry, I'm walking over there, right?
Yeah.
So he's like, I wouldn't do that, you know, and I got over there, and what he had done is hung tree reflectors and spaced them out on the trees. And by the time I came back, he knew it was over, because we immediately just folded up our chairs, put them in the pack, didn't say a word to him. Just started loading the stuff up and walking out of the woods.
Yeah, I mean, you know, Steve Coles, he got involved with the Biscardi big suit in the freezer, you know. Of course, if he hadn't been there, we wouldn't have never known that, you know, it was a hoax. And then Melissa Hovey, she had that picture of the back of a Bigfoot. You know, she got sucked into some.
Yeah.
So, you know, you just got to be real careful of what you say and do. That's why I will not say it's a Bigfoot. I'll say it's a possible or a probable, because, you know, people are too uppity about calling anything that happens. You know, there's a limb broke. That's a Bigfoot did it. Well, yeah,
right.
So
I'm gonna hop in there and say this, DW. One of the most important things that you said was that you posted the screen grabs. Now, in my opinion, that's probably one of the best things that you can do if there's any possibility that there may be a hoax. That's one of the most important things that you can have is screen grabs of conversations from the person that's trying to perpetrate the hoax to who he's trying to hoax. That way you can show You know, this is not something that I'm just saying. This is the proof.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, that's one thing. That is one thing that Ed Smith taught me when he first come on line and everything was screen capture everything. So
Yep.
I spent the last 3 days just going through approximately 300,000 screen captures and close to about 4,000 videos that I had scattered. So I'm trying to get everything together, and that'll eventually all be posted on Squatchopedia itself. That way, people can go and look and see this stuff on their own.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, do you still have your own server, or are you doing everything by the cloud at this point?
No, I'm doing it all on my own server. That way,
Are you? Okay.
yeah, YouTube can't say, "Oh, you're violating," our rules and stuff. It's like, hey, it's on my own server.
Yep.
You can't do nothing to me. So,
Yep, that's right.
I did a lot of studying on this after I found out we was going to have you on the show, and Ed really had a system in place. I mean, it was phenomenal the amount of work that this dude put into this hoax, because he'd fed you guys information about if we do have a daisy in the box, there's certain body parts that we'll collect, there's certain evidence that we'll collect, and all this other stuff. And just sitting back and thinking about it, that takes a lot of work, and somebody that has some high intelligence that will feed into their own hoax and come up with, oh, well, we're going to take this body part, we're going to take that body part, and we'll do blood, we'll do hair, and we'll do this, we'll do that.
well, and then there's he tried to, I mean, it may have happened, I can't say for sure, but they had an incident down in Atoka, Oklahoma, where they supposedly recovered some blood evidence, and supposedly a Bigfoot had went in the barn, and when they flushed him out, he went through the back and had cut himself on some of the aluminum siding.
Mm-hmm.
But he furnished us with the layouts of the farm and actually plotted every footstep that they found along with a coordinate. Of course, he blacked out some of the coordinate. But this was an AutoCAD drawing that, I mean, he had to have worked on that for a good 2, maybe 3 months. And when he gave it to us, it's like, man, if he's hoaxing,
yeah,
if he's making all this up, why would he go to all that effort?
Yeah. Yep.
So, and then he had what he called the Horizon Project, where they was wanting to put towers along a ridge line for about 4 miles with sensors and stuff like that. And once again, he sent me the layouts. And it's like, man, that's a lot of work. And a lot of the technology that he was wanting to use was actually, me and other IT guys in the group looked at it. And it's like, man, this is some pretty, if I ever win the lottery, I'm going to build some of these towers and put them on some land myself, but
right.
But yeah, just the information that he was giving us and the protocols and procedures that his group was supposedly using, it was just like, holy cow, it was solid. We actually used a lot of that as basis for the MABRC's policies and procedures, So, people are going to be like, what, you're going to cut body parts off of a Bigfoot if, there's a dead Bigfoot? It's like,
yeah,
I'm going to cut as much as I can before the other Bigfoot start coming after me for, their dead buddy there. So,
right.
Either that or when the suits show up.
Yeah, well, around here, it'd be the Bureau of Indian Affairs, because.
Yeah. Not a big fan of the BIA, for real.
Yeah. So, but yeah, just the quality, I guess, is the best way to say it, of the information that he was giving us was just mind-boggling. And people don't realize that if they actually got to see what we were seeing, they would be able to believe that, yeah, it was, we didn't want to rock the boat. We wanted to get to a point to where either he canceled out on us, and then we could say, okay, this is the second time you did this to us. it's over with.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, we did everything we could to poke holes in his story. You know, he would call and talk to Randy for 4 or 5 hours, and then he'd call me and talk to me for about 30 minutes because I just really didn't have time to listen to him. But then as soon as I got off the phone, me and Randy would call each other and make sure there wasn't no deviation of what he was telling us.
Mm-hmm.
And it was, the guy always had his story the same, no matter which one of us he talked to.
Yeah.
So he was either the best liar on the planet, or, you know, maybe some of it was true, but we'll never know because he's dropped off the face of the earth since then.
Yeah. Yep.
So,
I mean, it happens to all of us at one point. DW, I want to talk to you a little bit. You started researching in 1991. That's about 33 years ago.
yeah.
And I'm going to say you're one of the old heads in the Bigfoot research field here.
Yeah, I kind of feel that Billy and Melissa and all those names that I said earlier, we're kind of like the class of the 90s, you know, because we all learned together and we all started about the same time together. So,
And I'm just going to say, too, when you listed off the names on that bridge team, I could hear in the background, dun, 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 dun. The A-team, brother. You had
Yeah.
the A-team. But anyway, when you started your research 33 years ago, how has research changed since you started? And do you think that the research is better now, or is it worse now?
it's worse now. YouTube and Facebook has just totally ruined Bigfoot research. When I do presentations at conferences, I always tell everybody 99.9% of the stuff on Facebook and YouTube, social media, is garbage.
Yeah.
You know, if you're going to end up getting the perfect video of a Bigfoot, you're not going to post it on Facebook or YouTube.
Nah.
You know, you're going to go out there and try to put it out there. Like the MABRC, we've had our own website now since 98. You know, we're going to post it on our website and get it away from social media because there's no filter at all for people on Facebook or YouTube, you know.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
And it shows quite a bit, too.
yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I know I seen a post on there, I think it was yesterday. And it said, found film. This was the last footage that this guy recorded. And it was a movie clip from one of these cheesy Bigfoot movies that I've watched. I think it might have been Exists was the name of the movie.
Yeah, where it looked like it was running across the screen.
This one, it was standing there and growling at him, and the guy had a shotgun, and he laid the shotgun.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
I'm like, I can't believe you would post that and talk about this was found footage. It was a movie scene. I saw the movie. But,
Yep.
yeah, there's no filter. It's wicked sometimes. DW, you had your first encounter in 1998. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, what had happened was me and my family was actually out ghost hunting at a local cemetery. And we just got through going in and taking pictures in the cemetery, and we'd come out. And my oldest daughter, she was standing there with me, and she had a parabolic, and I had a night vision. And basically, it was along the edge of a creek. So, you know, there's a pretty good sized bank there. And we smelt this, what smelled like 4-week-old dead fish. And of course, yeah, we're by a creek, but it kind of kept coming in and out. So me and her started walking across a little parking area towards the creek bed. And I'm looking through my night scope, and all of a sudden, I see a head and shoulders, and pretty much from about here up, raise up over the edge of the creek bed and look at us. And I'm like, oh, hell, what did I just see? You know, I was freaking out. And I lowered it. I said, do you hear anything moving over there? And she's like, yeah, I hear something rustling. And so I put the night scope back up, and it had lowered itself down and moved over 3 or 4 feet and popped back up. And I was like, holy cow. Then it lowered itself down, and it started running down through the creek, and she was sitting there listening to it. And you could tell the smell of the dead fish kind of left us. And this particular Bigfoot, we think that he eats a lot of fish. That's why he smells like dead fish. Or he may even be like any other animal, you know, roll around on dead fish, you know, like a dog. But after that, we started having other encounters. And I was like, that was my first thing was, you know, I really wanted to do more Bigfoot research. And of course, the wife, she wanted to do ghost hunting because that was the big thing with taps. But we go back out to that area, and we think what would happen is when we went into that cemetery and we take pictures with our camera and the flash, they would usually be sitting up there across the creek from us and would see us, you know, all the lights flashing and stuff, and move down closer to see what we were doing, because we actually had what we call a family unit. There's 3 of them standing back behind the cemetery one night, and we just come out and we heard a thump, and it's like, crap, one of the headstones fell over. You know, we wanted to make sure we set it back up. So we're shining the light, and my youngest daughter is standing there with me, and she goes, oh my God, look in the back. And I stopped the flashlight, and sure enough, there was a Bigfoot standing on the back side of the fence at the very back. And so there's like 7 or 8 of us, and we had everybody come up there and look. And then somebody said, there's one a little bit closer this way. So we kind of brightened up the light, and sure enough, there's 2 of them standing there. And then finally somebody was like, there's a littler one standing right there on the other side of that one. So, you know, basically, we think that while we were in there taking pictures and making the flash and everything, that they come down to see what was going on.
Struck that curiosity.
Yeah.
That's excellent.
All right, we're at the halfway point here. So we're gonna play a rock song since DW likes rock music. And AI decided to call this song Footsteps in the Wild. So here we go.
Darren Lee on the hunt again. Footsteps echo in the night. Oklahoma woods dark and deep, searching shadows under moonlight. Darkwing prowls through fallen leaves. Eyes sharp, my sharp grief. The Bigfoot Research guiding hand. Whispers call from a distant land. Bigfoot lurking in the trees. Hidden secrets nature sees. Darkwing's quest starts ablaze. Lost in mystery, endless chase. Trees whisper tales untold. Cracking branches, footsteps cold. Doubt and hope collide as one. Night stretches till the break of dawn. Darren Lee won't turn back now. Ghosts of legends guide somehow. Tracking signs on ancient trails. Heartbeats sync with Bigfoot's wails. Bigfoot lurking in the trees. Hidden secrets nature sees. Darkwing's quest, eyes ablaze. Lost in mystery, endless chase. cracking branches, footsteps cold. Doubt and hope collide as one. Night stretches till the break of dawn. Bigfoot lurking in the trees, hidden secrets nature's tease. Darkness quest as a blaze, lost in mystery, endless chase. Bigfoot lurking in the trees, hidden secrets nature's tease. Darkness quest as a blaze, lost in mystery, endless chase.
There we have it.
All right.
Whoa.
That's good.
I tell you, this AI stuff, man. Like I
Phenomenal.
say, there were a few songs that when I listened to them, I said, "That's not rock, that's country." I was like, I know better than, having a country song. But yeah, it was, I don't know why, but for the first time, I had to go through like at least 6 or 7 songs before I was satisfied that was rock.
We've had some good ones.
Oh,
Yeah.
there have been some good ones. Yeah.
Well, speaking of AI, we're actually working on doing audio with AI where we can actually, and that's a project we've been working with Stephen James out of Texas with.
Yep.
And it's just amazing what AI can do now.
Oh, I know.
Now, is that where you're comparing known animal sounds against sounds that you've recorded?
Yeah, and it's all being done automatically, and it'll go through the entire clip and pick out the same audio, and
Yep.
it can even tell you how many different voices basically you're hearing.
Mm.
So you can,
Nice.
that way you can tell. Well, there's maybe a dozen potential Bigfoot out there, because
Yep.
that's what everybody claims that they hear a Bigfoot does. So
Yeah, because the old way is that you listen to every single hour of it.
yeah, I've got close to probably 30,000 hours of audio that I've been having to try to go through too. So
Right. Oh, here I wanted to put this up here because you got an event coming up. So let's scroll that down here.
Yes, sir.
yeah, the Bigfoot Symposium. We used to do the Bigfoot conference down at Honubby, but it just got to be too much for us to drag all of our presentation boards and all that down there.
Yeah.
So we started doing the Bigfoot Symposium in Stillwell, and the last few years we've actually had Bigfoot show up, and that's been a pretty good riot. So
You ain't talking about the skateboarding Bigfoot, are you?
no, I'm afraid this Bigfoot would break his leg if he tried to get on a skateboard down. So,
DW, I've got a pertinent question right here.
okay.
Who is Egbert, and how is he special in your presentations?
Well, we got this Bigfoot statue. It's the one where he's walking. We got that back in 2009 or 2009, I think. And so we was having a cookout for the MABRC, and I had stepped away for a little bit. When I come back, the guy said, "Hey, we got a name for this Bigfoot." And I'm like, "Okay, what is it?" "It's Egbert." And I'm like, "Okay, why not? I just can't leave you guys alone for, any length of time." So now I've got a little animated Bigfoot that I put in my presentations, and I call him Egbert. And he does all kinds of different things. Like when I talk about wood knocks, he'll be standing there with a drum, tapping on the drum. And then just all kinds of wild stuff that he does. So that's how Egbert come into being. And the way I see it, presentations, some can be really dry. People want to fall asleep in. And I just want to make it to where I bring them in and keep their attention. And I presented it over at the Arkansas conference about a month ago. And when they announced my name, I went screaming down through the audience, screaming, "Woo, yay, yay!" And then I got halfway and I was like, "Oh, I thought I was on The Price is Right. Sorry, y'all." And the whole place just busted out laughing, But, you just, you do it. You do little things to keep people's interest in what you're doing. So,
Yep. Yeah, it's one thing to sit there and watch a bunch of PowerPoint slides with a bunch of words on it.
Yeah.
People like the pictures and they like the videos. Got to keep them interested.
oh yeah. One year I had Egbert and some other little Bigfoot, and they all come at the end of the presentation sliding in. And this is going to show my age, but the Beverly Hillbillies at the end of the show, where they're like, "Y'all come back and see us now." So all the Bigfoot are waving, and then that's playing in the background. So
That's funny.
I think it's awesome. You mentioned, and I think you pronounced it Honubby.
yeah.
And I'm going to ask this. This is an odd sounding question, but is that the siege of Honubby? Was that where that took place at?
Yeah.
Because originally they pronounced it as Honobia.
If you say that down there around the locals, they will straighten you out real quick. It's Hanobi,
Yeah,
So,
Hanobi. I didn't think it was
Right.
Honobia, but can you tell us a little bit about the siege of Hanobi?
well, I've actually been down there and actually looked at the area, and actually been up on the ridge above where all this happened. And I've even talked to one of the brothers that was there a little bit. So what was happening? They were going and putting some snow peas out behind their house to get the deer in so they could shoot them. And the local Bigfoot realized, oh crap, they're shooting behind their house here at them. And so the Bigfoot would come down and try to grab the deer. Well, eventually they got to where they wasn't afraid to just flat come up to the house. And when you're there on site and you can see where the hillside is and the way the layout was, it's real easy to believe that the Bigfoot did come across the highway there and come right up to the house. It's all wooded area. Probably about half a mile down the road is where the dumpster bins are, that they usually see a Bigfoot every now and then going through the dumpster bins. So, real active area. We used to do a lot of research down there, a lot of expeditions, but I've got to say that whole area now has been turned into a tourist attraction about Bigfoot. And some of the people involved with the conference and festival down there have actually been caught going up and creating evidence for people to find to draw in more tourists and, want to give up their money. So real shame that that's happened. There's still people going down there thinking, oh, anything I find or hear is going to be legitimate. No, just the fact that these people have turned it into a tourist attraction.
Mm-hmm.
You just can't depend on anything being credible coming out of that area.
Yeah.
I've listened to a couple different podcasts where they talk about this. I can't remember the two gentlemen's names. I think they were Hamiltons, maybe.
Humphreys. Yeah.
And one of them actually in one of the and I don't know if it's true or not because I wasn't there. But in one of the stories that they had one that come up on the porch and it was trying to get in the house, and he actually went outside and shot at it. And they said he shot it 3 times, once in the back, once in the shoulder, maybe once in the head. And other Bigfoot drug it off before they could get out there and get to it. But they said there was like blood everywhere. Did anything ever come of that? Or was that
yeah, basically, they carried the body up the hillside there and disappeared into the wilderness. But I've talked to Michael Humphreys. He's one of the brothers,
Mm-hmm.
and he's told me about how he's had the Bigfoot come up to his house he had a young rogue male that took quite a liking to his daughter, so he'd have to go out there and run it off every time his daughter come to visit him. So, the family has a lot of history in that area with Bigfoot. And, of course, Tom Powell put that in his book, The Locals, but he was going by what the BFRO said and claimed, and it wasn't really close to what happened. I think probably the best version of it is on Sasquatch Chronicles. They did it, I think it was like episode 11 or one of the early episodes. But they actually talked to the Humphreys and got the story. But
it's a fascinating encounter story. Especially with, like you said, they were coming in, they were stealing deer carcasses. I think they had an outbuilding that had a few deer carcasses hanging in it to let them cure. And I think they ended up taking every deer that was in that building.
Yeah, they actually would open up the big chest freezer that they had, and taking the meat out of there too.
Wow.
So
Excellent. DW, from what I've read, you've had about 27 encounters.
And before people start screaming, there ain't no way you had that many encounters. That's 4,000 times in the woods. So it really boils down to like 0.027% of my time I've been in the woods. I've had something that I would call an encounter.
Yeah.
Of those encounters, how many of those were visual sightings, and what was your favorite encounter?
Well, basically, all 27 of them were visuals. I mean, that's why I counted them. I'm not counting rocks being thrown or stuff like that. But probably the one that I really think the most as being credible in the eyes of everybody is we had a member who was a wrestling coach, and some of his wrestlers had went to state, so he brought them out on a little mini expedition, and I was out there with them. And we told them, the stories about Bigfoot. And we had one boy so terrified he wouldn't leave the fire. I mean, that fire was going like this. He kept putting wood on it. So we put the boys out along the trail just to let them listen, and had like 4 groups. And they probably sat out there for about 30 minutes when we got a phone call not a phone call, but a call on the walkie-talkie from the furthest team. And they had something walk across the road in between them and the other team closer to camp. And they said it was huge. And then it had walked around behind them and was standing probably 25, 30 feet behind them. And they was like, "Coach, get up here, get up here." So we got up to the first team, and they were down on the creek bed, and they were like, we keep smelling this dead fish smell. And I was like, "Oh, that's our Bigfoot." And they said it keeps coming in and out. So I said, "Okay, I'll stay here with them. You go up and get your other teams and send them back, and I'll send them on back to camp." So he got up there, and he found 2 of the wrestlers out in the far team. They were sitting there just holding each other, about to cry because whatever it was, it scared them so bad. And, everybody has their own bottle to fill when it comes to fear. But he sent them all back. And when he finally got back to where we were, I was like, "Man, the boys are right. You can smell that dead fish smell coming in and out." He goes, "Well, let's shine our lights and see, what's out there." And just as soon as we turn on our flashlights, you see this Bigfoot step up out of the creek where it had been standing, and it stopped between a V-shaped tree. And we like, "Holy cow." So the other boys, they shined their lights that was standing there with us, and we got on the walkie-talkie, and we told the boys back at camp, you know, bring everything that shines because we got one down here trapped. Well, before we even got off the walkie-talkie, them boys were there. I mean, it was probably a good 1,000 feet, but they ran the whole way. So we got all these flashlights shining on this Bigfoot. And he's standing behind the tree. He can't go nowhere because we got him lit up. And every so often he'd look around, and them boys were dropping the F-bombs. You know, F this, coach. Look at that. F. Sorry, coach. You know, F this, F that. They were freaking out. And I kind of got the idea that, oh, man, we're putting stress on this animal. And I told the coach, I was like, you know, we need to turn off our lights real quick and turn them back on. Try to give it a time to run, and maybe we can catch it as it's out in the open. Well, we turned the lights off, and just as soon as we turned them on, all you could see there was the river reed back behind where it had been standing, just going like this. It had already went right straight to the river reed. But that encounter there was 12 of us.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, it's like, no, we didn't all mistake seeing a bear or anything like that. You know, that was a Bigfoot. And that area that we seen it in, that's where most of my sightings have actually occurred. It's a real active area. I mean, it's just really a great place. But yeah, that's the one sighting that stands out for me. You know, a few years later, I actually had my four-wheeler get picked up as I was going down the trail. Now, that one had me so in shock that they actually had to take me back to camp and get me calmed down. But, you know, the way I see it, if the Bigfoot really wanted to do something to me, it would have just pulled me off the four-wheeler and just did me in. Mm-hmm. So I was actually lucky at what happened. So
excellent. This is an odd question, which will be followed up by another odd question. But I try to ask all the guests this, and I'll explain it as I go along. Animal, mineral, or vegetable? Animal, do you believe that Bigfoot is a flesh and blood animal? Mineral, do you think that Bigfoot might be extraterrestrial, interdimensional? Or vegetable, do you think it may be spiritual? Or do you think it's a combination of all three?
No, it's an animal. It's a big screaming monkey. The ones that I've seen, you know, the one where 12 of us had flashlights on it. A Bigfoot, if one Bigfoot can cloak, if one Bigfoot can jump through portals, then they all should be able to. But we had flashlights on this thing. It couldn't move. It wouldn't move. Now, if Bigfoot was woo, the way I say, you know, if it was woo and the Bigfoot could cloak, that would have been the clearest opportunity for one to cloak, but it didn't. So as far as I'm concerned, all the woo stuff, that's just not even on the table as far as Bigfoot research.
Yeah. Excellent answer. This is the other odd question. DW, can you tell us where you may have been on October the 25th, 1983?
Yeah. I was struggling to get a chute on in the back of a C-130 because we were jumping. We were supposed to land on Grenada because the first battalion was supposed to be cleaning off all the bulldozers and stuff off the field, but they couldn't get them started and everything. So they was like, get your chutes on. Say what? We're packed into a C-130 trying to put our chutes on. And then, you know, I was 4 or 5 months into being 18, you know, and here I am jumping out with bullets flying around. And so, but yeah, that was my first combat lesson. I actually got a star on my jump wings for a combat jump on Grenada. So
for everybody out there in the studio audience who doesn't know, this would have been called Operation Urgent Fury, and it was the American and multi-nation force that occupied Grenada in 1983.
Yeah, and just to show you how screwed up it was, they actually had to take a map of Grenada out of a tourist book because we didn't have no maps on Grenada. So here we are trying to figure out. We didn't even know there was a second American contingent of students down there until after the other ones told us, yeah, they're about 5 miles up the road. What? So
Yeah.
Nothing like the U.S. government to mess up a good operation.
yeah.
This is a really important question because I'm really interested in this. Your group, the Mid-America Bigfoot Research Team, did some investigations into wood knocks and about how the sound carries and things like that. Explain some of that to us.
Well, some of our members, a couple of them, Randy Savig and excuse me, Bernie Walls, they had done a little bit of testing on that. They wanted to see how far it would carry. So they come to me and I was like, we should try this on a bigger scale. So we got a rangefinder, we got decibel readers, and we got with a group called APES, which is the Arkansas Primate Evidence Society, led by Robert Swain. And so we got together an expedition. We was in this research area that had a long stretch of road that we could use. So what we did is every 200 or 300 feet, we'd stop with a listening team. And at the one end, they would do wood knocks. Then we step into the woods to see how much it would kill the sound going through the woods. Then we did call blasting. We did vocalizations. We had one of our guys that did real good calls. And we even had a percussion block that we usually was using to try to get wood knocks to start. And one thing that we realized real quick was wood knocks don't carry as far, and neither do vocalizations like everybody thought. Before that, I always was like, I'd hear, a halfway decent wood knock. I'd be like, well, that's a quarter mile away. But in reality, when we did this, we did it several times so we could get a base reading with the decibel readers and everything. And if you're 500 feet away from a wood knock with ambient noise, crickets and frogs, unless you're standing there looking at the guy swinging the dang stick, you're not going to hear it. You see him hit, and then you're listening. You're trying to focus in on that. And one of the other things, we did this 3 times, and we're going to try to do a 4th time. But the 3rd time, we did it in wintertime. And what we found out was that the sounds don't travel nearly half as far as they do in warm weather. And that really, because, we always thought, well, cold weather, sound will carry farther. You don't have no frogs or anything like that. Nope. You had to be about 200 to 250 feet to be able to really hear the wood knocks clear. And the vocalizations, we would play them on the call blaster. And before, you could hear them all the way at our camp, which was about a mile and a half away. But when we played it during the wintertime, it was only about half the distance. You had to come back half the distance from between the two to be able to hear anything. So our next round of it is we want to take a pontoon boat, set all of our gear up there out in the water, and have them do wood knocks on land to see how far it carries over water. So, but yeah, truthfully, if you hear a wood knock really clear, they're within 200 feet of you.
Wow.
And when we were doing this, the first time we did it, we actually woke up the next morning and was heading down to see it had rained quite a bit the day before, so we was going to go down to see how high the water was up in the river. And there was actually a tree across the trail keeping us from going out. So we had to get out and move that tree. And so, you know, we think that we probably pissed them off because here we was blasting the crap out of vocalizations and wood knocks. And they're like, what the hell's going on down there? You know, it ain't us. I don't know what these guys are doing. So, but yeah, we did that. It was just eye-opening how close they got to be for you to hear it.
Yeah.
See, I had a question about rain. Where I live here in Southwest Virginia, and I'm close to the border of Kentucky and West Virginia and all that. And there's a train. Of course, it's a coal train, but it's several miles as the crow flies from my house. But when it rains, I can hear the train whistle. And that's the only time we can hear it is when it rains.
Yeah, we may have to plan on going out there and doing this when it's raining, and probably won't be able to get everybody together if it's snowing, but I'd like to do it in different weather conditions, you know. So
I actually think snow would probably dampen the sound quite a bit because snow is an excellent insulator.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But yeah, we taken all of our data and we put it online so everybody can see it, you know. I want to do it in different conditions to really make the study complete all the way around.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, I was really fascinated with some of the stuff that I'd read that you guys had did. Another quick question here. What do you look for in the research area? I know you've written several books about field guides. What do you look for in your research areas?
well, the main thing is food and water. And then after that, cover and concealment. Now, the valley that we research at has got everything. It's got a water supply that goes right up through the middle of it. Lots of deer. There's actually a herd of cattle that the guy that watches over him, the caretaker, he loses a lot of calves. And yeah, you know, coyotes and other predators usually will grab the calves, but he says the way that they lose them, they're talking like a 400 or 500 pound calf, something is taking it, you know. But that's the main things that I look for. And then I start looking at, okay, how many reports do we got in that area? Now, truthfully, I've got probably close to 15 different research areas, and we give them code names. So when I'm standing there talking to MABRC members, we know where we're talking about. But, you know, people standing there listening to us, they don't understand where. But truthfully, one of my researchers who lives close to me, he keeps coming up to me and say, hey, I got a new area for us to check out. Come on, big head. I don't have enough time to even check the 15 that I got, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yep. Yeah, it's hard, man. You know, when you have so many areas, I mean, you can't be at all of them at the same time.
yeah.
You know, it's especially hard too when you have good evidence in one area.
Yeah.
Leave that area.
Yeah.
It's kind of like fishing. Once you catch the first fish, you know, you're kind of stuck right there.
Yeah.
This is going to be another kind of controversial question. And, you know, I'm not real big on controversy, but what are your thoughts on the Sasquatch TV shows and how that affects research?
Well, I don't want to spit on the floor here, but that's what I think about the TV shows. People have to remember TV shows are done for entertainment only. Finding Bigfoot was the biggest detriment to research. They were always trying to get access to our reports and stuff because they wanted to come in our area, and it's like, no, you guys just stay the heck away from us. Expedition Bigfoot, you know, that first season they got busted at a dude ranch, you know. It's like, come on, people, don't believe these TV shows. Now, I did do a little, I don't know, you might call it a little serial for the Cherokee Nation media people, and they followed us around and just let us do what we're supposed to do. And then, of course, it's called Cherokee's Search for Bigfoot. And it's got like over 5.5 million views on it now because they've got it on YouTube on their channel. But then I also did Legends of the Ozarks with Randy Harrington. And no matter what me and Randy tried to do, we couldn't keep track of the entire crew. So, you know, I try to keep track of these three. He tried to keep track of these three over here. We'd hear a wood knock or a whoop over in the far distance, and it's like, okay, where's everybody at? You know, we probably did 8 hours of shooting and only ended up having probably 10 minutes of it on the show.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yep.
And there's multiple takes. They wanted to get our expressions down, and there's a couple of times that they wanted us to do this way, and I'm like, no, I'm not going to jeopardize my credibility just to make it exciting, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And something that I learned, you know, early on when I first started researching was you are going to spend a lot of time in the woods and see nothing and hear nothing and find nothing.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, you're going to have some activity. And it may be today, it may be tomorrow, it may be next week, next month. And then you'll have that activity. And then it just kind of slowly tapers away and gets gone.
Yeah.
And, you know, you may spend 5-6 days in the woods and see nothing. And you may walk out in there the first time and you've got wood knocks, you've got calls and everything else.
Yeah, that's why, you know, people see on these TV shows, oh, they got something happening every second of the show.
Nah.
No, it don't work that way, you know.
No.
I think I went 2 years without any activity in my areas. And it wasn't nothing that I was doing wrong. It's just I think they had moved off to a different area. Maybe the food supply had gotten kind of weak, so they moved somewhere else. But then they come back, and we had a sighting, had an encounter, and it's like, okay, you know, that's that 2-year drought. Hey, I'm not going to complain. I still go out in the woods. I still sit and listen. You still hear some pretty wild things out there, you know, that I'll bring it back and I'll pass it over to the audio guys in the group, and, you know, what's this? And they're like, well, that's probably a train, you know, 4 or 5 miles away. Okay, well, you know, I'll go along with what y'all tell me. But then you go out there and then you got 5 or 6 of them whooping back and forth at each other and doing wood knocks. So, but yeah, as far as TV shows, I have little use for the TV shows, especially Mountain Monsters. I mean, that little fat guy, if they had him actually with a loaded weapon, he would have shot every one of them by now, the way he falls over and, you know.
I think the funny thing is those guys will probably admit that it's just, you know,
Purely entertainment.
So.
I got one more question. What is your opinion on tree and stick structures?
Well, I've actually wrote a Bigfoot field guide book on how to do evaluation of tree markers and stuff. To be honest, I have come across tree markers that are like 40 feet tall, and I just can't see people doing it. But I also can't really see a Bigfoot out there wasting all that carbs and calories, you know, trying to put this stuff together. They're trying to stay hidden, But all of a sudden, here's a 40-foot tall TP or, tree bow. I think some of the smaller ones may do, tree bows and stuff just because they're out there, nothing to do. So, they're playing around. But when it comes to like the glyphs and the stuff that some of these people say, oh, Bigfoot's leaving me a message here by leaving these glyphs. It's like, come on, people. Sticks fall out of trees.
Mm-hmm.
And they're trying to say, oh, 2 sticks laying like this, it's a warning sign. No, when you come up on a big X that's probably 30 feet tall and trees that big around, then you can say that might be Bigfoot.
Mm-hmm.
So, but
I know they had some interesting structures. I believe it was in Alaska where there were some trees that were upside down and stuck down in the ground. And I'm kind of curious about that because, like you said, that is a huge expenditure of calories and strength.
And if you actually do a search on YouTube and the internet, logging companies actually will flip over a tree with the roots sticking up as basically a sign of where they need to go back to and stuff. In Alaska, they actually have a park where they stuck the trees down like that with the roots, and then they planted flowers in the top of them. It's like, can't remember for sure if it's a state park or a national park, but there's pictures of it online. So I just don't see Bigfoot taking a big old tree and shoving it down like that. Even if they are strong, like, a gorilla, why would they go and announce their presence when they're trying to hide from us? Why would they expend that much energy doing something like that? So that's my take on things,
It's pretty interesting.
Yep.
Pretty interesting. Billy, that's all I got, brother.
Yeah, I was trying to pull something up. I don't know if I can get it up here or not. Because now, since y'all were talking about that, I just wanted, it won't let me do it. Darn it. It was funny because I was walking, I've been walking the Appalachian Trail up here by my house since my property borders the National Park up here. And it was funny, I was walking through and I saw this tree up in 2 trees, and it's a good, 20, 25 feet up, right? So I'm like, oh, this would be all over, Facebook, oh, look, Bigfoot didn't put, basically what happened was a tree fell, it broke, and went between the fork of 2 trees. And as the trees have grown, they're kind of going up with the tree. But just somebody looking at it would be like,
yeah.
I mean, it's just, things can be explained. So,
I found some interesting tree structures a couple of times. They were really intricate. They were woven.
yeah,
Like the limbs have been twisted back and forth through that. And I'm kind of on the fence with that because you got to have hands to do that.
mm-hmm.
And I'm kind of curious, there's the possibility that might be something that Sasquatch has done, but I think there's a higher probability that a human has done it. Like I said, some of them are pretty intricate, and I'm kind of on the fence. Sometimes I think, that's probably Sasquatch, and then other times I'm thinking maybe somebody tried to build a ground blind right here to hunt out.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's like I'll see a lot of pictures get posted on Facebook, and they're like, oh, we found this structure out there. It's a nest. And you look close enough at the sticks, and you can tell where somebody has taken a hatchet or a machete and cut all the limbs down. It's like, no, that's man-made.
Yeah.
Now, we run into some interesting stuff one time on a research expedition here in Virginia. I think it was maybe 20 cedar trees. You remember that one, Billy?
I do. Yeah.
That all of the bark had been stripped from the cedar tree. Now, cedar trees will shed their bark naturally.
Yeah.
Animals will cause cedar bark to fall off. And usually it will be right there at the base of the tree. But there was no bark at the base of these trees. And I looked at, it was like 20 of them.
Yeah.
And I couldn't figure out, what it was. And as we went further on up into this cedar thicket, there was a couple of large oak trees that had been blowed over. And all of that cedar bark was crammed up under the lee of those trees. And it almost looked like a bedding area.
Yeah.
I thought that was really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you said cedar, and I was like, yeah, I hate cedar because it blocks my thermal camera from seeing anything behind it.
That's right.
I was going to mention that
Yeah.
when I was in the Marines, people don't really realize it, but cedars really grows other places than the U.S. The Middle East is full of it. And we were taught that if you want to disguise your heat signature from aircraft or handheld thermals to get into the cedars.
Yeah.
And I think that actually happened to you one time. You had one standing next to a cedar tree and it completely blocked it out.
Well, we had went on a night hike down in the valley, and the trail went right past a whole bunch of cedar trees right there along the trail. And it was me, and we go by call signs in the field because we have like so many Randys, so many this, so many that. So we use our call signs. So I was with Bigfoot and Elvis. Not
Thank you very much.
Yeah, that's right.
So we walked up and we went right through there, and I could have swore that there was a cedar tree right there beside the trail. And we went up and we sat for a couple of hours, and then we come back, and as we was walking through those cedar trees, I was like, wait a minute, that cedar tree is gone. And they were like, oh no, there wasn't no cedar tree there. And it's like, yeah, there was. And I've investigated some reports, and the best way to say it is at the end of Harry and the Hendersons, when they're sending Harry off into the woods and all those other Bigfoot turn around and they've been standing there the whole time. I really think a Bigfoot had been just standing there trying to act like a cedar tree. And since I was in cedars, I just thought it was a cedar tree. And then after we left, he just walked on off. So, you never know, but I am working on a book right now on how to use thermals in Bigfoot research. And so I've been going and collecting all kind of thermal pictures, and that's the one thing that I've got to put in there is, cedar trees, they will block your thermal from seeing anything. So,
yeah.
Actually, underneath cedars and a lot of other types of juniper trees, the ambient temperature under those trees, especially during cold weather, is anywhere between 5 and 10 degrees higher than the outside temperature.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Well, here's a reminder for everybody. I want to make sure they know about this event coming up. So March 8th, 2025, you got the Oklahoma Bigfoot Symposium. Right there is the website, guys, if you want to go check it out.
Yeah, we'll be updating.
Stillwell, Oklahoma.
Yeah, Stillwell, Oklahoma. It's at a place called CC Camp, which is just south of Stillwell. But you walk out on the back balcony and you look at the mountain behind the area. Our main research area is just right on the other side of that hilltop.
Okay. Good deal. And since it was just announced, and I promised everybody I'd talk about this, August 22nd to 23rd, 2025, the Pennsylvania Bigfoot Camping Adventure is coming back for 2025.
Excellent.
So just got word of that. So just letting everybody know about that. You can go to the website. I think the tickets are already on sale. So,
and I think that's Eric's.
That's Eric.
Shindig, yeah.
And Eric puts on a good conference and stuff too. Probably one of the nicest guys you'll meet.
Yeah.
Yep. So let's put that up there.
He may get you arrested sometime. He's one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet.
I think he'll beg to differ with you on that one. Someone else almost got you all arrested.
Yeah.
Well, DW, we really appreciate you coming on the show.
I appreciate you having me.
So, can you hang on for just a few minutes while we close it out, and then we'll come back in?
Yeah, no problem.
All right, cool. All right, want to thank everybody for joining us again tonight. Don't forget, we'll be back next Monday night, 9 p.m. Eastern, with another guest. So until then, everybody have a great rest of the week, and we will see you next Monday night, 9 p.m. Good night, everybody.
Happy Veterans Day.